How's it going? It's Sam Frost here, back with more digital marketing advice. In this video, I want to talk about why I believe that the notion or common argument that SEO is an investment, at least versus paid traffic, when it comes to digital marketing is a false idea or totally wrong. So really common thing I'll see online on platforms like LinkedIn, usually it's someone who sells SEO as a service or an SEO agency or whatever. They will come along and say SEO is an investment and paid traffic is not an investment because you have to pay Google today to get that person to click on your ad and come and visit your site and turn into a sale. And then if you want the next person tomorrow, you've got to pay again, which is totally true. But their argument is that with SEO, that's not the case. You pay to do some work today, and that work could be paying dividends for years to come. I think there's a somewhat element of truth to that. Organic traffic from search engines is always held up as the sort of holy grail of getting visitors to your website online when it comes to all the other different channels that are available. But I don't believe that investing in SEO is really an investment. It's just one way you can promote your business online, one form of trying to reach your target customer. The problem with SEO as an investment, at least conceptually, is that at the very best, it's a risky investment, more like a speculation. So if you're anyway familiar with kind of conventional personal finance or investment recommendations, most sensible investment advisors, personal finance experts, all those kind of people would say that it's not really a good idea to pick individual stocks or investments. So if you want to save for retirement, for example, you're better to invest in an index fund that looks at multiple different companies, or you might pick a managed fund or something like that. But if you come along and say, I'm going to put all of my money into Apple, for example, what happens if Apple shares go down? Now, sometimes you can do extremely well. I saw something, I think, on TikTok the other day that said $10,000 invested into Nvidia in 2014. I think it was like $2 million in 2024 at the start of 2024. So, okay, in that case, speculation pays off really well. And the same thing goes with SEO. Sometimes you might invest in SEO and do extremely well in terms of getting rankings for keywords that generate a lot of traffic and a lot of leads and a lot of commercial value for your business. But the fundamental underlying problem is that you are dependent on one platform, Google. You are dependent on a platform where Google controls the algorithm entirely, and Google has the ability, the right to change its algorithm at any point in time for whatever reason they desire, and you have absolutely zero recourse if they do change that and it has a negative impact on your business. It's a bit like if all your money is tied up in one company. If that company goes bankrupt, or that company suddenly decides to do some kind of weird share or stock split thing, or whatever they might do, or they are subject to some big regulatory issue, that could destroy the value of your investment. A little bit like people who put all of their life savings, sadly enough it was often employees, I think, into Enron in the 90s, because that was a company that was doing extremely well. Turned out that it was just built on a bed of lies, it was all fraudulent, and the company went out of business, went bust, and basically the value of Enron stock collapsed to nothing. And if all of your money, all of your retirement fund, for example, was tied up in that, you may never recover. Same thing goes with digital marketing. You can do really well with SEO when it's going good for you, but if all of your business ability to get customers online is tied up in having traffic come from somebody jumping on Google and searching for a product or a service, or searching for information that could then, they find an answer to a question on your website and you upsell them to your product or service, or even worse, if you're just showing them advertising, and I'll touch more on that in a moment, to make money off them. If all of your traffic comes from organic Google search, that's an extremely risky business model because Google could come along tomorrow and say, hey, we no longer like the way your site's built, or we think you've done something black hat or spammy with trying to get backlinks, or the way you've built content, or whatever the case may be. You may not have even done anything wrong. You just get caught up in one of these Google algorithm changes or updates that do occur. And that could be the end of your business getting lots of traffic from Google for free. And if you haven't got a diversified sort of stream of website traffic sources, if you're not reaching your target customer through social media or paid ads or even offline opportunities, things like events or billboards or radio or TV or print, whatever those other options are, if you're not reaching your target customers from those channels and Google turns off the one channel that was working for you, it's a bit like having an investment where you're one company, you put all of your life savings and goes broke or goes bankrupt. You're in a big pile of trouble, really, and there's no easy way out of it, and it can be very, very hard to recover from that. A good example of this is recently, about September last year, 2023, Google rolled out what it called the helpful content update, and if you're anyway familiar with the sort of niche site, online blogging space, tons and tons of content creators, including myself with one of the sites I run as a side hustle, overnight Google rolled out this helpful content algorithm update, and it basically destroyed the rankings of the site. We went from getting about 3,000 visitors a day from Google to about 500. A huge, massive drop in the number of visitors coming to the site, and there's no recovery in the site because it's unlikely Google's going to roll that update back, because it was all about trying to kind of prioritize user-generated content on forums and YouTube and Reddit and those kind of things. Quora.com is another example, over content that maybe looked quite plausible, but there was a huge issue brewing in Google with so much AI content being generated, because if you wanted to start a blog about border collies or golf or whatever, you just jump on ChatGPT and say, here's 100 keywords, now write me 100 articles, and load those up to your site, and everybody was able to do that. And so Google basically had a bit of a sort of knee-jerk reaction. But if your business model was entirely dependent on ranking on Google for long-tail keywords, informational searches, question-related searches, those kind of things, you could have seen your entire business destroyed overnight. I was just lucky that that was just a side hustle for me. It didn't really affect my main business, and none of my clients seem to have been too affected, and the consensus seems to be that real-world businesses, whether it's e-commerce or local service or whatever, haven't been too badly affected by this helpful content update. So no, I don't believe that SEO is an investment in and of itself. As part of a sort of balanced portfolio, just like you should probably have a balanced portfolio of investments, and I'm not an investment advisor, this is just going off what I've seen recommended from just about every single credible personal finance and investment source I could find. Just like that, when it comes to your business, you should have a bit of a diversified portfolio of how you drive visitors to your site. Yes, do SEO where it works and where it makes sense. And I think for things like local business, real world business, there's probably less risk in massive algorithm changes. That being said, they do happen. And besides algorithm changes, Google can do things like come along and change the layout of the search results. I've seen it with a client of mine, for example, recently. Very, very good search rankings in regular search, but they sit a bit further down the map pack in those local business map results. And Google's decided for almost all of the searches they rank for to place the map results right at the very top of the page. And so suddenly they've gone from ranking number one to being much harder to find unless you scroll past those map results. And most customers don't appear to be doing that. They just call whoever's first on that map list. And so even though they're still number one in some respect, that investment has suddenly diminished greatly in value, and now they need to reinvest elsewhere into improving their Google Maps performance. So sort of a different form of SEO. Now, welcome any feedback, welcome any debate. Feel free to leave a comment. Keen to hear what you think about SEO as an investment. My experience over many years, well over a decade, has been that it is not necessarily an investment in the way that is often portrayed. And usually it's people who are just trying to sell SEO services who put it forward as an investment, but keen to hear what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.